In 2015, I did the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Africa. Before I tell you that story, I want to pause and ask you a few questions. Do you have any challenges in your life right now? Family, health, finances, a relationship, your work? Or are you facing a major decision, whether to change jobs, start your own business, retire? Or you have a goal or dream that's so big, it scares you. You see, the insight I gained from Kilimanjaro is that we're all climbing some kind of mountain. So what's your goal? What's your dream? What's your mountain? And what's your why? I had a why for climbing this mountain. It was to raise funds and awareness to fight the global and local issue of human trafficking. Making this decision was not an easy one for me to even go on this climb. I was expected to raise $50,000. And that fundraising goal, it scared me as much as the mountain itself. Then there was the training and the preparation and the equipment. I was way out of my comfort zone, and I hadn't even gotten to the mountain yet. Then when I saw the mountain for the first time, it was both exhilarating and frightening at the same time. As the world's highest freestanding mountain, it is huge. And I was asking myself, what have I done? So let me take you on this 7-day, 6-night journey with 19 other climbers up this mountain. We started at 6,400 feet with 100 porters and guides supporting us. Our first camp was at 8,600 feet, the next one at 11,500 feet. And as we made our way up this mountain, we became very familiar with a Swahili phrase, pole pole. It means slowly, slowly. Our guides kept reminding us that we needed to pace ourselves and not go too fast because our bodies needed time to adjust to the altitude. We spent 2 nights at 13,000 feet. This would be our acclimatization camp. From here, we would go up higher, come down, spend the night. The following day, we would go up higher than the day before, come back to sleep at 13,000 feet. Next, we moved to 15,000 feet. And this would be where we would make our summit attempt. It's called Kibo Hut. We started at 11:30 at night. It was cold, dark. We had our headlamps, multiple layers of clothing. We were each assigned a guide. My anxiety level was at an all-time high. I'd made it this far, but could I make it to the summit? We all started off as a group, but within a few hours, I found myself alone with my guide, Tito. I kept wishing that Tito was behind me instead of in front of me because the trail was so steep. I had the sensation I was falling backwards. The higher we went, the harder it became to breathe. I was barely moving. All I could do was to look at my boots and Tito's boots. I thought about quitting. And then I remembered why I was there. And I started telling myself over and over in my mind, take one more step. Because each step you take represents one more life, one more woman, one more child that can be rescued from human trafficking. At 5:30, we reached Gilman's Point. It's 18,600 feet. We were greeted with this beautiful sunrise. We weren't at the summit yet, but at least it wasn't dark and it wasn't as steep. I got this picture from Google Earth when I got back. I'm glad I didn't see it before I went, or I might not have the right-hand corner is Kibo Hut. You can see the red line that depicts the very steep climb up to Gilman's Point, then Stella Point. We passed ice fields and glaciers on our way to Uhuru Peak. At 7:30 that morning, 8 hours after I started, I stood on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. 19,340. I'm celebrating and taking pictures, and then the realization hits me, I've got to get back down. So here's a short version. 4 hours back down to Kibo Hut, and then a very long 6 miles to 12,000 feet where we would spend the night. In total, I spent 16 hours hiking that day. I laid in my tent that night, exhausted, mentally, physically, emotionally, wondering how I was going to make the 12 miles on the next day. I did survive those 12 miles, and I was welcomed by these guys and porters cheering us on because of the fact we had made it. Now, I'm not going to tell you about the climber that was evacuated at 13,000 feet, or the one that turned around several hours into summit night. Then there was a climber that made it to the summit, and on the way back down, got altitude sickness and was put on oxygen at 15,000 feet. And the 2 climbers that could not complete the 12 miles on the last day and were taken down in carts by the porters. What I am going to tell you is that a team of 20 everyday, ordinary people raised $800,000 from this climb. We're all climbing some kind of mountain. The mountain represented by human trafficking still needs to be conquered. I've completed 5 Freedom Challenge climbs. I've got another one scheduled this year. And since 2012, Freedom Challenge has raised over $3.5 million to fight human trafficking. And these funds support 60 projects in 30 countries. In February, I had the opportunity to go visit 4 of these projects in Zambia, Africa. So I ask you again, what's your goal? What's your dream? What's your mountain? I want to leave you with the insights that I gained from Kilimanjaro in hopes that it will help you and encourage you as you climb your mountain. Have a compelling why, something that's bigger than yourself. If my goal had just been to climb Kilimanjaro and I had not had the why of human trafficking, I think I would have turned around summit night when it got so hard. Poly, pace yourself. Be patient with yourself and the others that are on that journey as you climb that mountain. Don't be so driven and try to go so fast that you burn yourself out. Acclimatization. If you find you haven't made the progress that you had hoped for, maybe you have a setback or an obstacle, and you felt like you lost ground, don't be discouraged. Remember, sometimes we have to come back to where we started from to go even higher than we've ever been before. And finally, when you feel like you can't go on, when you've reached your limit, you find yourself in the dark and alone, and you want to give up, take one more step. Go climb your mountain.